Awesome. Thank you, Nadia. Hello, everybody. My name is Melia, and I'm a gratefully recovering alcoholic. It is so good to see everybody in my sobriety squares today. My sobriety date is March 25th of 2022. I have a sponsor. She knows she's my sponsor. My sponsor has a sponsor. I was told in this program to get the sponsor, get a home group, get a service position in my home group, get a big book, work the steps. That's what I did. So what it's like, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I was raised in a very alcoholic and drug partying household. It's just what you did. And so it was always around. I was always serving my parents their alcohol, being around during their parties and such. And so it wasn't really a big deal. My mom bought me my first case of wine coolers for my 14th birthday. And we drank the wine coolers, and I liked this. I knew I wanted more of this. So when my parents went to bed, we snuck into the garage and we got into the tequila, which set Malia off into a land of drunkenness. That was my first drunk at 14 years old. I woke up the next day hungover as hell, feeling like some shit. You'd think I didn't want to do this anymore, but I did. I knew I wanted more of the alcohol. The alcohol made me feel like I was a part of. It made me feel like I wasn't afraid to be myself. I could just be and I could fit in with people. And I fit in with the party crowd in high school. I was a pom-pom girl and a cheerleader, so I hung out with the football players and the pom-pom girls and cheerleaders. And what do the football players do after the football games is they partied. I lived for Friday nights. I lived for Friday nights and I drank to get drunk. I didn't drink to have a buzz. I drank to get drunk. And for me, that usually meant passing out. So I've been a drink to pass out and get drunk girl since day one. I think a lot of it started because I learned at a very young age that telling an adult anything was not safe. I was molested by my mom's boyfriend when I was young. And I told my mom about it. I was 6, I think, when I finally told her about it. And she told me to stop flirting with him. Now, I'm 6 years old and I didn't know what flirting meant, but I knew that what my mom was saying was that I did something wrong. I knew that I deserved the shame. So that was my first lesson in not telling somebody anything. You don't go tell anybody anything. And I also learned that I was shameful for whatever happened. Well, whatever happened happened again and again and again. When my mom finally broke up with him, I was the happiest girl on the planet because that meant that he was no longer going to be around. This was about the time that my stepdad came into my life, and my stepdad was a good man. He was a good man to us kids, even though we were not his kids. But I was raped when I was 14, before the drinking started. And I couldn't tell anybody. I knew I couldn't tell anybody because if I told somebody, I was going to get in trouble. When I drank, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about the fact that my body wasn't my body, that men could do whatever they wanted to do to me, and that was fine. And I think I drank to drink that away when I started drinking at 14. And as I got older, the drinking kept going. As I got through high school, I got to college. Of course, I'm still drinking. College made it even worse because you're in college now, baby. You can drink all the time, and there's the excuse. Well, I'm in college. This is the college experience. Drink to get drunk. But the thing is I did really good in my college studies. I was studying to be fire science. Um, I took all my fire science classes, my hazardous materials classes, and I was doing really, really well. I was doing well with my studies to the point that I was getting ready to take the physical exam for the Phoenix Fire Department. I was going to be in the fire department, and I found out I was pregnant and I couldn't take the exams. Finding out I was pregnant ruined two things for me. One, I couldn't take the exams, but that wasn't the big thing for me. That means I couldn't drink anymore. That means that I could not party anymore. That means that all of a sudden I was going to go back to the girl that didn't matter, the quiet girl in the corner that nobody paid attention to. Being pregnant probably saved me from a big downfall during that time because the tequila drinking was extremely heavy. Every time I drank about a fifth, and the drinking was becoming more and more. It wasn't just Friday nights, it was Saturday nights too. Um, I hadn't started drinking during the week yet, but the drinking on the weekends was very, very, very heavy. So when I got pregnant and I had to quit drinking, I was happy. I was happy I was pregnant. I enjoyed being pregnant. I enjoyed all of my pregnancies. My first pregnancy, however, ended abruptly. Um, she survived, but she was born at 25 weeks gestation. She was extremely premature. She survived. She's wonderful now. She's a mom of three kids and she's doing perfectly. She was supposed to die. I was supposed to die. That was the first miracle that ever happened in my life. And this was during a time when I still believed in God. I grew up with a God. I still believed in a God. And I knew that this God was going to take care of my daughter. And I knew this because I had a spiritual experience where he came to me and told me that I did not have to be afraid, for I was going to be okay and my baby was going to be okay. And after I had that experience in the hospital room that night, I knew no matter what was before us, that baby girl was going to be okay. She had to have heart surgery. She had to have surgery on both her eyes. She sees perfectly well. She's perfectly healthy. She's a wonderful human being now. God saved her life. That was the first miracle that I ever experienced. And I carried that with me. I didn't drink so much between my first child and my second child. It was after my second child was born, I went into a postpartum depression that was really, really bad. And I went back to drinking. And again, I drank to get drunk. I drank to pass out because I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to think. I didn't want to deal with anything. I didn't want to deal with life. My husband at the time, he noticed my drinking and he said that maybe I should talk to a therapist. So I went for outside help. I talked to a therapist. I slowed my drinking down, but it didn't stop. I was an adult. Nobody could tell me that I couldn't drink. So my drinking continued. Um, next thing you know, I'm pregnant with my third child, my third daughter, my second daughter, my third child. Um, and I stayed sober after she was born. Um, and it's kind of a really weird thing. I was sober for a long time after she was born because I was told to love her for she's not long for this earth. And this was told to me from Holy Spirit, God, I don't know. It was said to me in my hospital room the day she was born. And I held on to that. And I was scared to death for this child that something was going to happen to her. And I didn't drink the whole time she was little until, gosh, I would say probably she was five, 5 years old, I think. She went to school. I was home alone. I started having parties on the weekend in my house. I had a beautiful home with a beautiful pool. This was um this was my first home that I bought, and I loved entertaining. So my drinking started up again on the weekends. I was partying. I was having a good time. It wasn't long though until I was drinking during the week, until it was a shitty Tuesday and I'm doing shots of tequila while I'm cooking dinner for the kids because I deserved it. Oh man, this Wednesday really kicked my ass. I'm doing shots of tequila while I'm cooking dinner because I deserved it. And the shots of tequila at dinner turned to more shots after dinner, turned to Malia's drunk and passed out after the kids had gone to bed. And I drank heavily like this for years, for years. I lost the home that I had purchased that I loved so much. I lost it. So then I'm drinking, and I'm rebuilding, but I'm still drinking, right? But I'm rebuilding my life a different way this time, with a different guy this time, who's not going to cheat on me, who's not going to beat me, who's not going to be all the things that I left last time. Got a new house. Drinking so heavily. 5 years in, I lost that house. Bought another house. Guess what happened with that one? Drinking and drinking and drinking, and I lost the house. Next thing you know, I'm living in an apartment. Wow, this is a lot easier apartment. Rent was cheaper than my mortgage payment. Cooling off the apartment was a heck of a lot cheaper than cooling off a 1,700 square foot house. I'm telling you, my bills went down. Guess what that meant? That meant more money for alcohol. More money for alcohol. I moved to Illinois thinking that was going to solve my problems, right? People, places, and situations. And I up and moved my kids, thinking I was doing the right thing for my family. We ended up in an atrocious situation with an abusive man in Illinois. My drinking was phenomenal at this point. I wasn't even drinking tequila anymore. I was drinking papa. I was drinking the cheapest vodka that I can get my hands on just to get the alcohol. I'm driving around with it under my seat of my car, you guys, with my kids in the car. And if there's nobody on the road, I'd pull that fucker out and I'd take a swig and I'd slide it back underneath the seat. I was so sick and I was so suffering. We finally got the money together to get out of Illinois and go back to Arizona where we were from. We were going to start fresh, me and my three kids. We get to Arizona. My son goes and stays the night with a friend. My oldest daughter goes and stays the night with a friend. Me and my youngest daughter, we stay the night at a friend's house that we were going to be staying at just for the couple of nights until I could get us our house rented. The next morning, I was going to go pick up everybody and we were going to go find our house to rent. Had a couple of listings, had a couple of appointments. My son gets in the car. I pick him up first. He gets in the car. We're ready to go to McDonald's. A man driving 100 miles an hour in a Toyota Tundra truck T-boned my car in the intersection. I was making a left-hand turn. I was in a Honda Accord, two-door. My car flipped and went across the intersection. My daughter went out the back window. My son went out the front window. My daughter was killed on impact. My son was brain dead. Glasgow coma score of 0. I was in a coma for a week. He was in a coma for 6 months. He should never have come out of his coma. He came out of his coma and he started talking to us. He knew my phone number. He knew my ATM debit card number. His brain was working. I told him the whole time he was sleeping, you just sleep, baby. Jesus is fixing your brain. Jesus is fixing your brain. Jesus fixed his brain. It's a miracle that he and I both survived, period. It's a miracle. But guess what? My daughter died. Guess who used that as an excuse to drink herself to oblivion? That became the catapult that launched me into a drinking career like no other. The amount of alcohol that this girl put in her body was insane. And if somebody dared say something to me about it, my response to them was put your child in a little white coffin in the ground and then come talk to me about how much alcohol you drink. It was my excuse. What happened? I was in the process of losing another property that I had purchased. I was in an abusive marriage. That night, I drank a fifth of whiskey and I lit a match to my life. March 25th, 2022. He pulled a gun on me and I called the police. This was after physically fighting to get a hold of my cell phone. He took the phone. He tried to keep it away from me. He had a gun on me. I got a hold of a different cell phone. I got a hold of another cell phone that I had. And the only thing that I could do was dial 911 because it wasn't connected to any service. And I got the police there. There was, I don't even know how many cop cars pulled up because he had a gun. There were so many. It was the most terrifying thing in the world. And I got out of the house and they took him into custody and they took me to a safe house. My daughter was going to pick me up from that safe house in the morning, but this safe house I had to stay the night in, and it was horrifying. It was scary. It was dirt floors. It was broken glass windows. It was trash, but it was safe because I was away from him. I was away from alcohol. I was away from weapons. I was safe in this house, but I was terrified in this house. I was sobbing so hysterically. I fell to my knees in utter despair. And this was my first complete surrender to my higher power. I said, God, I can't do this anymore. Obviously, I can't do this. If you can, you do it. I felt this warmth come over me, this peace like I had never felt before in my life. And inside this dark, dingy house, this light was all of a sudden in the room with me. And I felt safe for the first time in my life. I felt safe. And I heard a voice say, Malia, why aren't you dead yet? You guys, I've tried to commit suicide several times. I was found by my children twice. I was found by a husband once. This car accident, I survived. I've survived being raped. I've survived being molested. And I have this God, not of my understanding, asking me, why am I still alive? Obviously, I know why I'm still alive. And obviously, in that moment, in that darkness, in that room, I knew why I was still alive. There was only one reason, and that was God. But uh, my daughter, my oldest daughter, had been in the AA program for 8 months at this point. And she had said to me several times, Mommy, come to a meeting with me. Mommy, come to a Zoom meeting with me. Just come see what it's like. I'm really liking this. I'm really digging these people. Just come with me, Mom. Just come with me, Mom. So the next day when she picked me up, I went to a Zoom meeting with her, my first AA meeting. And when they said welcome home to me, I started bawling. I was sobbing uncontrollably. I felt like I was home. I felt like I'd come home. And these people didn't even know me. I didn't know these people. Why am I bawling at being welcomed home? I sat and listened to their stories, and I thought for sure my daughter had told them my secrets. As they're telling my story in this room, every one of these people that I listened to that night, I related to. I finally found my tribe. After all the searching, after all the running, after all the drinking and the drugging and the running and gunning, it took falling to my knees in a dirt house and turning my will and my life over to the care of a God of my understanding that I don't understand him. I'm not gonna lie. But he gets to the point where I have to have a God of my understanding. Well, I'm still having a problem with my God because the God that I grew up with was a hateful God, a vengeful God. And I truly believe that the things that happened to me in my life were because God hated me. My mom told me I was Satan's child growing up. She always told me, "You're Satan's child." I believed her. I believed I was going to hell no matter what. So why would this God do anything for me? At the time, I wasn't thinking about the birth of my child. At the time, I wasn't thinking about Riley coming out of his coma. My son woke up out of his coma, and my son now is a healthy father and partner. He's deep in his own addictions. And I pray someday that he'll find the way out as well. But I have to give my daughter the credit for getting me into AA and for getting me to a place where I can find a God of my understanding. I was told that I'm allowed to be mad at God, to cuss him out, to tell him how I feel. So I did. I told him exactly how I feel. Why did you kill my daughter? That's what I felt. I thought God killed my daughter. I truly believed that. And why would a God that would take a child be a God that I wanted anything to do with? I had to reconcile that. Somebody told me, you can borrow my God. My God is a loving God. My God is a God full of grace. My God is a forgiving God. So I liked that God. So I borrowed that God and I made that my understanding of God. A loving God, a God full of grace. So this is the God that saved my life. This is the God that saved my son's life. This is the God that took my daughter home. So I got to turn my life and my will over to the care of God of my understanding. So I finally did that when I reconciled my feelings with my higher power, whom I choose to call God. And ever since I worked the steps, I came into this program hungry, you guys. I came into this program with a gift of desperation so ingrained in me. And if you would have told me to jump on one leg, pinching my nose closed, singing Yankee Doodle Dandy, I would have done it. I would have done anything that I was told to do. So immediately I started doing everything my sponsor told me to do. First thing I did was get myself a sponsor. I got myself a home group. That Zoom meeting that my daughter took me to became my home group. I got a service position within my home group. I worked my steps like a fat kid loves cake, man. I was hungry and I went after it. And I did it. And the more I worked these steps, the clearer things became and the less shame and guilt I had, the less I felt like drinking. The more that shame and guilt went away, the more fear went away. I realized when I was working the steps that I have been ruled by fear and shame and guilt my entire life. And none of it was mine to carry to begin with. But it was because people in my life let me down at an early age. And I saw that alcohol was a way to deal with life. So, of course, this is the way I'm going to deal with life. Thank God for my oldest daughter for pulling me into this program. Thank God for her bringing me here to save my life. Ever since I started working this program, the promises started coming true, you guys. Miracles were happening left and right. Miracles are still happening. I turn around and I see miracles every single day. It's a miracle every day that God wakes me up in the morning. He gives me two gifts every day. Open both my eyes. I wake up every morning and I thank God for waking me sober and in faith. I have to remind myself every single day that I'm an alcoholic. You know, fear of people and financial insecurities will leave us. I'm working through my fear of people. I'm doing really good too. I'm broadening my circle of friends. My support is getting bigger. I'm leaving my house a little more often, meeting new people out and about. Financial insecurities. My fear of financial insecurities was cured my second year of sobriety. My second year of sobriety, I was approved for my disability. I couldn't believe it. Things were falling into place that I had been trying to put together, that I'd been trying to work on for years and years. And all of a sudden, they're starting to come together. I had a roof over my head that was solid. I had a safe place to get sober, a safe place to get on my feet. And I was in that safe place for almost 2 years. Now, granted, the house I was getting sober in was full of alcohol, and my roommate refused to get rid of any of it. So every time I was cooking in the kitchen, I had to see the alcohol. And my sponsor told me every time you see a bottle of alcohol, I want you to look at it and I want you to tell it out loud, you have no control over me. And so I did that every time I was in the kitchen cooking my food. And there's bottles of wine lining the oven and vodka in the cupboard and in the freezer. And I would see it and I would say, you have no control over me. You have no fucking power. And it worked. It worked. I don't have cravings for a drink to this day. The gift of desperation that I came in with, and then God cured me of my desire to drink. I don't have cravings. I don't have any desires. I don't even think about picking up a drink today. When life gets lifey and bad things happen, first thing I just want to do is swear. Then I'll figure out what to do, but I need to panic a little bit first. I need to overreact for just a second. And I also need to remind myself that my first thought is the wrong thought every single time. My second thought is probably a wrong thought too. So I wait until I get to my third thought. My third thought usually is the right thing for me. It's usually going to be the next right thing. It's getting easier and easier for me to pause, to pray, and proceed when in a situation. I don't react anymore. I respond intelligently. I respond with grace and kindness. I learned how to do that in this program. I learned how to pray. I learned how to meditate. I learned how to make a gratitude list every single day, and that helps keep me sober. All these things are keeping me sober today. 24 hours at a time. That's all we have is this 24. You know, I still have to wake up every single morning and know that my daughter's gone. And it's hard. Every single morning I say a prayer. And I ask God to use me as his vessel. Use my words, use my thoughts, use my actions, because that's what's going to keep me going. Being of service to another alcoholic, or being of service to just people in my apartment building, my little community that I live in, keeps me sober. You guys right now are keeping me sober because you're being of service by being in this meeting right now. I have a wonderful life today. Sobriety has given me all of the promises. You will be amazed before you are halfway through. And I just want to tell you, please, please don't leave before the miracle. If you haven't seen one yet, or if you haven't noticed one yet, they're coming. They're going to come in spades. And you will start to notice the glimmers everywhere you look. So please, if you're new to this program, stick and stay. Get in the middle of the herd. Get in the middle of the home group. Make this your home group. This is an amazing group. This group has helped keep me sober for 3 years, y'all. 3 years. I want to thank you all for hearing me tonight. I want to thank you for being here. And with that, I'm going to shut up.